Hello and welcome to today's FP webinar. Today we'll be talking about SharePoint best practices. My name is Bill Newton. I am the marketing manager here at Fpweb.net. With me today is our main presenter, our vice president of client development, Brad Gleeson.
The only presenter.
That's true.
Yeah, so there you go.
Brad, thanks for joining us today. I'm looking forward to hearing this. I'm sure all the people that have jumped on right now to listen are looking forward to it as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're just going to run through some basic uses for SharePoint and talk a little bit about best practices.
Very good. All right. I want to remind you that if you have any questions, to go ahead and ask them as they come up. That way we can have them queued up to start tackling at the end of Brad's presentation. We've left some time here in our 30-minute format to get to as many of those questions as we can. And then after that, we'll be giving away a $50 Amazon gift card. So make sure you stick around to the end to see if you are the lucky winner. Now, Brad, SharePoint improves collaboration. Mm-hmm. It improves the communication among a business, and it also improves business workflows. But I would like to see something a little more, concrete than those vague terms. And what I'm excited about your presentation today is that you give concrete examples mm-hmm. of a few common business problems that can be solved or at least tackled by or addressed by some SharePoint solutions that we've seen several businesses rely on daily.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's just jump right in.
Okay.
And one of the main things we see SharePoint being used for is to track service requests. Okay, so this is the practice of setting up help desk as a solution, tracking ticketing. This is also something that can be used for budgetary concerns, so resource planning or for staffing. This is another function that a managed service provider like ourselves knows how important a help desk reporting truly is, but obviously this is an important function for your internal teams as well. And as always, it's customizable, so everybody has a unique situation. There's some great things that are out of the box, but making sure that you have customization capabilities are of paramount importance as well.
Absolutely, and what you'll see on the screen right now is an example of an IT help desk, which is rings true to us, considering that we are a managed service provider, and you see that it provides the availability to look through the number of tickets and to be able to track your staff's response time, the volume, and to be able to see who's submitting which request, to be able to track those patterns, and that's just one example of what Brad was talking about with that example.
You bet. So moving along, let's talk about building a modest project management system. Okay, and this is something that's going to be built so that you can keep everybody on the same page, right? It has a responsive workflow. You can track timelines. Again, budgetary concerns, over and under budget, how is that flowing? And then you can also ensure scope of project has stayed within expectations.
That's a great point. When you look at the screen, you see an opportunity there to kind of peek in on another example of this project management system. And so you look at for this example, I don't know how easy it is to read these, but it's a little bit blurry, but they're demo servers, and so you can keep track of which ones have been assigned to which client or which person within your organization, and you can see the whether that's in progress or has been completed or still to do, and then assign those to which person. So that gets into what Brad was talking about with the workflow, and and you can use this as a dashboard, right?
Yeah, so the dashboard allows easy and different ways to display data and see who is responsible for each task. You can highlight tables on the slide itself, so that's all very helpful. And then using Project Server with SharePoint allows for seamless integration with the Project Desktop app in the Office suite.
There you go. You see, you hit on a key thing there when you start talking about the utilization of other Office products, and the fact that this is software that you're able to find in other places, but the fact that it's Microsoft SharePoint allows that seamless integration with other Microsoft products, and so then you start tying in these different applications, and then you can get those real-time data, with the pie chart and the calendar tie-in, like you see in this example.
You bet. A very robust solution.
Exactly.
Okay, let's jump into our next one, design scheduling system. So you can manage resources, obviously, with a solution like this. The main function is to increase efficiency. You're going to include time off requests in something like this. So you're going to have your time off request sheet that auto emails maybe a manager for approval, and then automatically adds that to your schedule and their schedule if approved. This is also a great place to manage sick time, PTO, room scheduling within your own building. Birthdays, milestones, business trips, and of course the all-important expense reimbursements that you want to make sure is managed properly as well.
Absolutely.
This can be handled in this area.
So you look at what we have up on the screen now, and this is actually one of our old months on our company intranet to be able to look at a calendar and where all of our employees are putting their time off. But you can see how this could apply to any business where, like Brad was saying, if you're requesting a day off, you could then, set up a workflow. So I'm like, well, the 15th looks open. Maybe I can, squeeze in my vacation then. And then I submit that request, and Brad may or may not accept that request.
Well, I don't know. You're asking for a lot. It's only one day, so I'm not sure we can authorize that at this time. But yeah, you get the gist, right?
Yeah, exactly. He clicks the yes. All of a sudden, it's on my calendar. It's on the company calendar. It's on Brad's calendar.
We're going to give you that one day, Bill. You deserve it. All right, so there you go. And hey, one other thing that I want to make sure and mention is that this is also great for integrating with Outlook. So you don't need to run two different calendars. And I know a lot of folks have done that in the past, and it causes confusion, and the boss doesn't even know you're out. And well, but I told you about this last year. Again, this is all trying to get to a more efficient workplace, and that's what this product's used for.
Exactly. Yep.
All right. So let's move on to another concrete way to use SharePoint, and that's creating a site in order to support geographically dispersed teams. So coming from a past life, we had 22 markets throughout the United States that were responsible. So it's pretty dispersed. Let's say it's 22 markets, right?
That's spread out.
And so as a result of that, you can jump in and converse like an ongoing meeting. You can put these types of capabilities in motion. The best part of SharePoint is you're accessible from anywhere. So even if you're in the field, which I had a field sales organization as well, you could be out in the field. We didn't want people in the office. We want them out in the field, and they could be on a call out in the field in their car, wherever they're located at that specific time. So that's one of the best parts of it. And then co-authoring. Multiple people can edit at the same time, and versioning so that you can keep previous versions available, so you're not losing those when other people come in and do things and people get upset. You don't have to worry about that as far as this opportunity is concerned as well. Collaborate in real time instead of relying on reply all emails. I mean, that's a big one, and people don't like to see the endless chain.
Right.
And the other thing is too, it's hard to keep up. We know we have a person here that doesn't want to read past the initial email, and sometimes that can be problematic because you lose information. This helps with all of those things. And you also have an email-enabled list and library that you can give a library its own email address to record the conversation, and it will attach to that corresponding library.
Fantastic. Yeah, Brad touched on a perfect example of this when you talk about having a sales team out in the field and geographically dispersed, and you're working on this. Gives you the opportunity to work off one contact list, so that if somebody makes a change to a client or prospective client's contact information, they can do that into the SharePoint site via their mobile device, and then the rest of the team now has that updated information because they're all working off that same contact list. We have another example here up on the screen when it looks like more of a marketing group, and they're able to have people from all across the country be able to work off of one platform, bring them all to the table, and be able to in real time update a project without having to reply all and say, all right, is this the version I'm supposed to be updating, or and like I said earlier, with several of these other examples, there's several other softwares that do this, but what we're talking about here is all of these things are accomplishable by SharePoint.
You can even make up words like accomplishable.
I like that word, though.
It's a great word. Yeah, you can actually make all kinds of great things.
And for those of you who have tuned into past webinars, we've made up quite a few words.
Yes, and I'm guilty of making up a few on my own. So there you go.
Yeah.
All right. So one of the other items that we want to touch on here is that you can employ a course registration system. This comes in real handy for anybody looking to do that. And to Bill's point, all of these things are available through SharePoint. We hear this a lot from our clients where, gosh, I knew SharePoint had a lot more to offer, but I just wanted to use it for workflow management. Yeah. Okay. There's a lot that you can utilize, and of course, that's sometimes half the battle of getting projects pushed through. If you have something that's not going to be a resource drain because you want to do something new, you might have something right in your own backyard already that you can use, like SharePoint. So another area here again is you can employ a course registration system. You can customize this so that you get the required information needed from the registrants and set notifications for full classes or changes, etc. You can also eliminate costly third-party registration systems by utilizing SharePoint. This also has easily imports that you can easily import into SharePoint or Outlook. Once again, no need for those two calendars, and it doesn't just apply to colleagues or universities. This could be used by organizations providing continuing education and professional development opportunities for their employees in regards to their product, service, or industry. So this can be a one-stop shop for employees to select, register, and schedule these courses or seminars, which again ties to the calendar feature which we discussed earlier, so that the selections would populate the already established scheduling system. I mean,
I like that. That's a great point. I mean, I'm sure we probably have some folks on today that are from institutions of higher learning that either have a system, for registering classes and courses, or are looking for a better solution. And like you said earlier, maybe they didn't realize that we already have SharePoint, didn't realize it could do this for us. And the fact that it then ties into your Outlook, you have now the potential of being able to set up workflows where you either have approved or denied that class request, and then if approved, it's bam, it's right on your calendar and you're all set to go. But then if you flip that and you're not in an institution of higher learning, you can see how this applies to any other business, whether that's I need to choose from one of the three following options on this continuing education opportunities, or you need to pick a seminar to go to, and this has those capabilities. And you can see the example on the screen now is it's unfulfilled because you haven't added a class yet, but
right,
this is what it could look like. So.
Absolutely. Another area that we'd like to talk about is the opportunity to build an inventory and asset management system. So you would use something like this to track company-issued devices or anything else, loaner laptops, company cars, uniforms, widgets, and parts, or like this example from the food service industry. You're seeing here ingredients and quantities. So that's something that you can see how SharePoint can even be used for something along these lines. It's easier than Excel because SharePoint is available anywhere, even mobile, and you can incorporate filters. You can look at BI for easier reporting. So business intelligence absolutely can play into this as well.
Yeah, and like Brad said, this example here is just more of in the restaurant industry when we're talking about the ingredients needed on a fulfillment basis. But I think that you could easily see how that would translate to pretty much any other line of work.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at just building an inventory of company assets. We'll get into this here pretty soon, but when you start talking about just the availability of checking out those assets on an internal basis, this has got that potential as well.
You bet. You bet. Another thing that you can do, the ever popular blogging platform. So you can design a team blog platform. This allows end users to review any pertinent content. This is also shared knowledge, a shared knowledge base for team members to share instructional or institutional specific skills. So it's great for that as well.
Yeah, and there's obviously other software, other websites that are available to make blogs. I'm not saying that they're any better or any worse. What I am saying is that with SharePoint, this comes with it. It's one of the
Correct.
possibilities, and it doesn't necessarily need to be a public-facing blog where
Correct.
you're only taking the best writers from your staff. This could be more of an internal knowledge-based sharing where I have now dealt with this issue and I want to document how I did it, and now I've put it up on this team blog so that it's archived basically for others to learn from, and it's searchable that way.
You bet. So. You bet. Another great use, create a process to coordinate requests for proposals and a response. So you can create an extranet system for the outside vendors that you might have to submit RFPs. You can allow external vendors to submit, track, review those RFPs in progress. And internally, this acts as an RFP repository with structures to coordinate and coordinate a review process itself. This is really nice because this allows external and internal users to access the same list, and it will follow the same type of workflow.
So we're talking about streamlining these things, which is pretty important when you're talking about an RFP.
Correct.
This is business critical information, and you want the external folks that are submitting those to be able to see the most up-to-date list, and you want the internal folks that are reviewing and replying to those requests to have the most current information as well, and to be able to adapt or to be able to edit that requirements as well.
You bet. You bet. All right, so another great function is the setting up of an FAQ system.
Okay.
So this kind of goes back to your knowledge base reference as well. You can help users find the answers that they need quickly, ability to be internal or external facing. You can make it a forum style, from an external standpoint, or a knowledge base that is open to all of the staff to be able to ask questions and add answers internally. And then the other thing you can do is you can continually add to that list of questions fielded by customers. So this is a great resource to be able to do that, and it's also convenient for both businesses and its customers.
Absolutely.
So they'll both you'll both be able to access this content.
We in preparing for this webinar, we took these 10 best practices that Brad's put together, and we set up a survey for the last webinar's attendees to just glance over this list of 10, common business problems solved by SharePoint that we could, set up as best practices. And we had them rank these in the most important to their current business, how it applied. The FAQ was by far and away the #1.
Interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting, and you start thinking about, well, I guess that makes sense because this is a data-driven way to figure out what your customers are frequently asking.
Correct.
It's not just a list generated by those who have answered most of the calls or have feel like they have a gut feeling based upon conversations that they've had with prospective clients. This is a way of utilizing something that you've already got with SharePoint, probably doing your intranet, to mathematically figure out what has come up the most, what or like Brad said, from an internal knowledge sharing basis, what is commonly coming up, what is commonly being searched for, and now this generates your FAQ page for you.
There you go, and it's like you mentioned, it's quantifiable, which is what everybody wants to. Forget about gut reaction. Forget about, well, I think I've heard this a lot. Something like this is absolutely quantifiable. So again, another great use for SharePoint. And another area that's really a nice feature is you can implement a cost-effective contact management system. A lot of people use SharePoint for this as well. You can search, add, delete, modify, save changes to contacts, and instantly update that for the entire staff in one centrally located place. This is also accessible anywhere, so sales team members in the field can make updates on the fly, and the rest of the team can instantly, see and has access to those types of updates. So that, and again, to Bill's point, yes, there's a lot of different types of contact management systems, CRMs that are out there. But again, depending on the size of your company and what you're looking to do, SharePoint has this functionality already installed. You can also find solutions to all of these business problems that we've talked about with other web-based expensive third-party tools, like we mentioned, and these are all just to make sure you guys understand, this is all out-of-the-box solutions that come with SharePoint 2013 and SharePoint 2016. So even if you're on 2010, you're looking to migrate to 2013, these functions that we're talking about are still available in 2013 as well. So, and again, because of time, gosh, we're just scratching the surface of what SharePoint can do to improve collaboration, communication, business workflow, and of course change management.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the fact that these 10 things are all out-of-the-box features. Imagine what you could do with a couple things bolted on, because SharePoint, provides the availability of web parts, and apps that you can add on to make it a little more functional to your particular business, or a little more customizable. So it really is just scratching the surface of what all is available to you.
I think you're right. So let me ask a question.
All right.
All right. What if we, FP Web, could bundle a starter kit of popular and useful web parts along with ready-to-go templates that you can use to set those solutions that we covered today? Would that be intriguing to you?
That would be intriguing to me.
That's exactly the answer I was looking for right there. All right. So how about this? We're going to do a 30-day free demo of SharePoint 2013 or 2016 on a dedicated secure and our secure private cloud, and throw in a SharePoint training package so that you can get the often elusive buy-in from your company's employees. Because again, it's a lack of knowledge, it's a lack of understanding that really propagates, oh gosh, not SharePoint. We hear, I'm not, I don't like SharePoint. Why? Well, it's because they just don't have the information to really make it work. So we thought that this was a critical piece to make sure that this is part of the offer that we're sending out there today.
Absolutely. I like the sound of that a lot. You talk about, the fact that we've got a dedicated server for the demo. That means, you got full control. You can play hard in there for 30 days and be able to see if this is something that's going to work for you or not, and to be able to have the templates that we're talking about, so that these 10 features are not something that you're now having to go back and hire somebody or monopolize a lot of your IT department's time to set up. We'll have the template ready to go, so you can just plug in your info and play.
So this is exactly what we're preparing right now, and I wanted to give everybody in this group today, this audience that's participating in this webinar, advance notice that we'll be following up with you with more information about this opportunity here in just the coming weeks.
Absolutely, we're excited about this one. I think it'll help a lot of companies and embrace what else is available to them in SharePoint.
Yeah, absolutely. So visit Fpweb.net/SharePoint/ to learn more about our SharePoint expertise, SharePoint services, and all those differences between SharePoint 2013 and 2016. We also, of course, offer SharePoint hosting on a per-user pricing basis. So if you haven't used that calculator, be sure to do that. I think you'll see some cost savings involved with that calculator. And of course, SharePoint tutorials, those we have available as well. If you have questions, please don't hesitate to email me at sales@fpweb.net. And if that's just too burdensome for you, you can just give me a call at 866-780-4678.
Very good. Shall we dive into some questions?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, great.
Questions.
All right, Brad, here's one that says, can all of these platforms mentioned be created with standard SharePoint features, or are third-party solutions required?
All right, so and it's a good question, because everybody's always, I'm not sure what actually comes with it. I don't have a list. So all of the examples that we described today can be done with out-of-the-box SharePoint features. Now, some additional software, such as Office Web, App Server, or Office Online Server, may need to be installed for more advanced features and reporting, but those are just add-ons to SharePoint.
Okay. This one says, is upgrading to SharePoint 2016 worth the hassle?
That depends on how much of a hassle it is, right? So again, I think this is an opportunity to go on to the demo and kind of choose for yourself. You can go on, do a demo server, 2016, look at the service pack that we're adding as a value add,
right,
and make up your own mind.
Well, and one cool thing about our demos is it's not just an opportunity to try out SharePoint 2016 or SharePoint 2013 for that matter, but it's also an opportunity to try out us, right?
Correct. Absolutely. And that's one of the other things too. one of the things that we're offering during this demo cycle is that you have access to our engineers. I just want to make sure people are aware of that, because if they have questions or concerns, if it's from an engineering standpoint, you can talk to our engineers during that time period and see how helpful these guys really are. And of course, if it has anything to do with the product itself, or how much does it cost, or here's how many users I have, those are all things that can be directed back to me, and we'll certainly help you out and get you the right information that you need.
Okay, well, what if you end up liking what you see in the SharePoint 2016 demo?
Very, very easy.
Yeah.
So yes, so we can get you spun up and get things rocking for you. And again, you might say, well, I don't have any internal SharePoint expertise, so once I got the thing set up, I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it after that. Well, we have an answer for that as well. You can subscribe to our SharePoint admin as a service. And the great thing about it is you can subscribe at a very modest price from an OpEx standpoint, and use or digest, consume the amount of hours that you need during that time. So, for instance, if you just needed 40 hours a month, something like that, $16.75 per month. But we'll go down from there. If you want to only do, something like 10 hours per month because you just need a little extra help to try to get your thing started along, we're willing to do that here. Please call me up and we'll discuss, what your needs are, and I can certainly shoot off a quote as far as that's concerned.
Perfect. Okay. Here's one I really like. This is a great question. Are these things that we've been talking about, can they be done in Office 365?
Yeah, a lot of folks, thinking about Office 365 these days, and I'm going to give you an answer that you're probably not going to like. Okay. Okay. The answer is yes and no. Okay. So it depends on what you need to do. With Power BI and Project already incorporated with Office 365, the project management and reporting system should work without any issues. However, some of these sites we showed can't be done in a multi-tenant environment. Please remember, if security is an issue, and if there's performance considerations, you got to think of these things before you just jump all into Office 365. So you need to have access to central administration or the SharePoint server to be able to do some of these things that we talked about. And I think we've also covered this in one of our other webinars, is the fact that, if you're on SharePoint Online or Office 365, they're not SharePoint. You cannot have third-party apps running after April of 2018. So that's an important consideration as well. Here's the next question. Can you synchronize the contact list to Outlook? Yes, you can sync contacts and tasks, calendars, document libraries, etc. You can do all of those things to Outlook.
Yeah, we've made mention that a couple of times, in that it's you can sync so that everyone's working off that same list. But this makes me think it's worth repeating that since they're both Microsoft tools, Outlook works, it's very streamlined into Microsoft SharePoint, so which is a great advantage of using SharePoint over another software that would do that.
You bet.
Okay.
Here's one other one. How is security handled for extranet and intranet users?
Security, hot button issue there. Good question.
Yeah. So again, this is something that you really, really need to be cognizant of if you're going to the public cloud. You can either create all users in AD or implement other authentication providers such as ADFS, form-based, etc. But remember, you're extremely limited with from anything that's out of the box. You're on the hook for security if you're in the public cloud.
Good point. Yes. All right. Great questions. We've got time for I think one or two more, and I will definitely send answers out for the ones that we don't get a chance to cover. But I do. This one did say, do you have servers in Europe available?
Yes, we do. So again, I'd like to talk to you specifically about your needs. So this is something that we could continue offline. Okay. And please just, again, you can either you can send me an email at sales@fpweb.net, and then I'll reply with my contact information. And if need be, we can also set up a go-to meeting, and I'll set those extensions up for wherever you're at in Europe.
Super, super. This one says, can we migrate from on-prem to SharePoint Online? Our migration services handle everything from migrating to the cloud to migrating from another app into SharePoint, migrating upgrading your SharePoint to a newer version, or migrating from any version to any version.
And here's the thing: it all starts with what's called a discovery, and I want to make sure everybody realizes this. Most discoveries are very, very affordable, and you're going to get a very detailed list of what's going to migrate and things that are going to catch you. And I operate by what's called the 80-20 rule. These discoveries will catch 80% of the things, the big flag items that aren't going to migrate. Of course, we'll talk to you about that. And there's still 20% that may not end up migrating even post discovery. Well, the discovery didn't flag that. Well, again, we're doing our best effort to make sure that we catch the things that we can that are going to be problematic in a migration. But one of the things, as affordable as they are, I want to make sure that people understand. It all starts with a discovery. You can then take that discovery that you might get from Fpweb, shop for other people who provide migrations, be our guest, and then if we earn the right to do that migration for you, however, we will contribute back all of the funds that that were part of the actual discovery process itself. We will credit that back towards the migration. So the discovery itself, if we earn the right to do the migration, will cost you a net sum of 0.
I like the sound of that. All right, well, I think we've held everybody here for the 30 minutes that we agreed upon. So let's pick a winner from for our $50 Amazon gift card.
And our winner this afternoon is Ben Braithwaite. Ben, congratulations. You're the $50 winner of an Amazon gift card.
Congratulations, Ben, and thanks everybody for joining us. I'll be sending out a recording of this webinar shortly.
Great. Thanks.